open up in Zechariah chapter 13. We're going to be talking on tonight the refiner's fire. All right, the refiner's fire is going to be our topic on tonight. All right, but again, we're opening up in the book of Zechariah, and that's going to be chapter 13. We're going to do just two verses there, verses 8 and 9. Again, familiar to us, but just two verses, verses 8 and 9 there. I will ask you this: how would you describe, when you hear that, the refiner's fire? What comes to mind? What do you think about? The refiner's fire. What comes to your mind when you hear that? Okay,
Like the scripture said, throws you in the furnace of affliction.
yeah, get the draws out. All right, anybody else? What comes to mind? Anybody else? Pure, yeah. All right. Anybody else, what you would say? The refiner's fire. Anybody else? All right. So I'm going to give y'all the definition of refiner first. All right. So refiner is the worker who deals with metals. The worker who deals with metals, especially of gold and silver. These are their main focal metals. A worker who deals with metals, especially of gold and silver. All right? Simply put, the refiner is the one doing the refining. Mm-hmm. All right? And then I give you the definition of refine. Just let me know when y'all are ready for that one. All right, but again, refiner is the worker who deals or is dealing with metals, especially of gold and silver. All right, especially of gold and silver. Everybody got that? All right, and then to refine, all right, the simple definition, to improve. And then the longer is to bring a substance, to improve or to bring a substance into a fine or pure state. All right? To improve or to bring a substance into a fine or pure state, which is free from impurities. All right, free from impurities. Sediment, that's sediment, into a fine or pure state, free from impurities, sediment, or any other foreign matter. All right? Or any other foreign matter. All right? And this process is done so whatever it is that they're refining can be usable. That's the purpose of refining. All right? So I'll read it again. To improve or to bring a substance into a fine or pure state, free from impurities, sediment, or any other foreign matter. All right? Everybody got that? All right? And then I'm going to give you one more definition, just to kind of simplify sediment. All right? Sediment, again, that's sediment. All right? That is like sand or clay that settles at the bottom of a liquid. All right? Sediment, sand or clay that settles at the bottom of a liquid. All right? All right, so with sediment, you can think about if you ever seen a bottle of water that is set out in a hot car, and then you go back to it, you go to lift it up, drink out of it, but you see particles floating around. All right, so that settlement was initially at the bottom, had settled down to the bottom of that bottle. All right, that's settlement, something that's settling at the bottom of a liquid. All right, everyone got those definitions? All right, so I asked you this. All right, we got those definitions. What could you give me to be an example of God's refining when He refines us? Could you give me an example of what He may do or what He may allow as a refining process? All right, I heard tests and trials. Heard one more. All right, if you could be a little more specific pertaining to a test or a trial. Get your mind going. All right, example of Him refining us. What may He allow or do?
I would say for me, like my situation with my car,
Mm-hmm.
it made me really trust in the Lord that He gonna do what He said He gonna do, and that He didn't bless me with something just for Him to take it back away.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh. All right. She said basically dealing with a possession. Uh-huh. The troubles with her car, right? Anybody else what you would say? And
Health issues.
yeah. But Carrie said health issues. Uh-huh. All right. Anybody else an example? A loss, yeah. Yeah, especially a loss of a loved one. All right. Anybody else what you would say could be an example?
Making you wait.
Making you wait. Uh-huh. Create that impatience out of you.
Yeah.
All right, or maybe even try to get rid of that self-will. Used to doing it on my own. All right. Anybody else what you would say? An example. And when I wrote down, I put kind of like Job, but I put losing all possessions. All right. He may allow something like that to go on to refine us, and it could possibly be because there is pride present. All right, so He allows that to uproot pride. Because you have most people, some people don't know how to handle having a lot of stuff or things or material possessions, and they get lifted up. All right, you ever seen somebody that lose everything, they get humble real fast. All right, that's a refining process though. Refining. All right, anybody else an example you may have? Anybody else? All right, so let's go to Zechariah chapter 13 and verses 8 and 9. Just say amen to me when you're there. All right, it says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. I'll give y'all a fact here. I was looking up the refining process. You see how it says refine them as silver and then try them as gold. I looked up the temperature for pure silver to melt at, and that is at approximately 1,763 degrees Fahrenheit. It has to be. All right, and then when it comes to pure gold, the melting point of it is a little bit higher. It's 1,947 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, could you imagine a temperature like that? We wouldn't even survive that. All right, I also did a little bit more digging when I was looking up the burning process. Just a little fun fact for you. During the cremation, you know, when somebody is burned, so the body, in order for it to be burned, all that skin, muscle, to be burned down, and it's just particles of the bone left, they have to raise that furnace that they insert the body in between 1,400 to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit to burn that body. All right, that's a lot of heat, ain't it? All right, and then think about this. Those degrees don't even touch the temperature of hell.
So don't.
All right, ain't no temperature. You can't mark that. All right, but that's a lot of heat. All right, but that's what the silver goes. Just imagine that now. The silver has to go to over 1,000 degrees of temperature. All right, and you think about us, the majority of the time we start having problems with breathing and getting dizzy just about 100-degree weather.
Shoot, some people not.
All right, some can hardly stand 80. All right, but wanted to throw that in for you. Was doing a little digging. So if those metals, that silver and that gold had a mouth, I'm sure they'd probably be out screaming. They probably wouldn't even have no voice no more to scream. All right, and during that fire. All right, so let's read that verse again, verse 9. And I, this is the Lord speaking, will bring the third part through the fire, so you're not going to escape the fire, and will refine them, rid them of all impurities. All right, everything that's not like me. As silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. It's after this that they shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. All right? I'll ask you this, but we go ahead and flip over to Luke chapter 6 with me. Luke chapter 6. All right, but I'll ask you this while you're flipping. What are some things that the Lord has to refine us of, or some impurities, I say, that he has to get out of us, uproot out of us?
Pride is one of them.
Pride,
Lust.
Lie.
All right. What else y'all say? Jealousy. All right. Gossiping. Backbiting, lying. All right. It's sad to say so. Once he has to take us through the fire to uproot that cheating on your tithes. And y'all hoping out of us. All right. You wonder. All right. Some I'm gonna pay this month, skip next month again. I'm just paying 6 months out the 12 months that we did.
Lord help us.
All right. Not realizing now you hurt yourself. Hurt yourself. All right. What's some other things? Someone's false witness.
Yeah.
We carry news. Our eyes ain't never beheld it. But we'll tell you. All right. You have to uproot that false witnessing out of us. What's something else?
Tailbearer.
Yeah, talebearer. All right. The song say, run and tell that, talking about the good news of Jesus, but we'll tell everything except that, won't we?
Except that.
All right. What's some other things he has to uproot out of us? A bird,
Slowfulness.
so to speak out. Yeah. Anger. Anger. All right. Anything else y'all say?
Slowfulness.
Slowfulness, yeah. Slowfulness. All right. Some have a deceitful tongue, lying tongue. All right. He sent us through the fire, the purges of those things. All right. Because he is a what? A holy God. All right. No guile found in his mouth. All right. But the sad thing is you have some confessing saints. You got all types of profanity and cuss words found in their mouth. And all other types of things. All right. And the Lord hath again send you through the fire. All right. To purge us of these impurities. All right. Because when he comes back, he's looking for a people that's as himself, right? All right. No impurities in him. He's a pure, holy God. All right. He's looking for a church without spot, wrinkle, what? Blemish or any such thing. All right. A clean house is what he's coming back for. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else?
I see all the works of the flesh.
Yeah. All the works of the flesh.
Yeah.
All of them. All right. Not skipping a one, but all of them. All right. Even those things that are David called them presumptuous, those hidden things. All right. Or we consider secret things of the heart. All right. But the Lord can see all of that. Your neighbor may not, but he sees it. And a lot of times that's why we go through some things. All right. He'll clean us up. All right. Has to clean us up. All right. Anybody else though? Anybody else? All right. So you can jot this down. One reason for the refining process is to prove the quality of the metal that is being melted. All right? One reason for the refining process is to prove the quality of the metal that is being melted. All right? That's one of the main reasons, not the only one, but one of the reasons why the refiner melts down the metal. You ever seen something in your a piece of jewelry that looks gold? They have a way of testing it to make sure it's real, but a lot of times to really prove that, what they'll do is they'll melt it down, and if it's just gold plated, it's gonna separate, it's gonna show when they melt it down. All right, so the Lord, He sends us through the fire, and we may have a good appearance. We look real good, real holy, real sanctified. But when we get in that melting pot, so to speak, all right, the truth gets told. All right, the truth gets told. You got some people, they think they got 10 karat, 12 karat items. All right, and you just find out it ain't nothing but just gold plated. It don't even really add up to a gram. All right, don't really even hold no weight to it. All right, but we're looking into Luke chapter 6. Remember I told you the Lord sees those hidden things. All right, so Luke chapter 6, we're going to begin at verse 41 here. Try to get through these scriptures. Luke chapter 6 and verse 41. All right, everyone there? All right, it says, "And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but perceivest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Either how canst thou say to thy brother, Brother, let me pull out the mote that is in thine eye, when thou thyself beholdest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, cast out first the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to pull out the mote that is in thy brother's eye." All right, sometimes when we in that refiner's fire, the Lord started allowing us to see our own selves. All right, see all those things that's going on with us. And when we start seeing all those things that start to surface that's going on with us, we'll find that we don't have no room to try to clean up and straighten out our brothers and sisters. All right, it says, verse 43, "For a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doeth a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by his own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of a bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of what?
His heart.
Of his heart, all right, the good treasure of his heart, bringeth forth that which is what?
Good.
That which is good. All right, an evil heart will not bring forth anything that's good. All right, neither a good heart gonna bring forth something that's evil. It says, "And an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil." All right, for of the abundance of the what?
Heart.
The heart, his mouth speaketh. All right, that refining process, the Lord deals greatly with the heart, all right, of man, deals with the heart. All right, and then let's go to Matthew chapter 23. Matthew chapter 23. And we're going to start at verse 25. Matthew chapter 23. Start at verse 25. All right, I wanted to show y'all a picture concerning this, but Matthew chapter 23, starting at verse 25. All right, that refining, proving the quality of what's really in that metal that's being melted. All right, everyone there? All right, he says, "Woe unto you." Remember I said you can look real good outwardly, but inwardly there's something that's going on. "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye may clean the outside of the cup and of the platter." So you can polish it up, clean it up, the outwardly real good, and it look nice. He says, "But within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is where?
Within the cup.
That which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres. All right, anyone know what sepulchres? Or some say sepulchres. Those are tombs that house the bones of dead men. All right? He says, which indeed appear beautiful outward. All right? So they look real nice, look like something into and see what's going on inside of it. He says, but are within full of what? All right? You're full of dead men's bones, and he said this, of all what?
Uncleanness.
And all uncleanness. All right? I wrote this down. All right, when you look at the sepulchres, back they were very beautiful buildings outwardly. All right, but held the bones of dead men. All right, so imagine this. You see something that's big, beautiful. So imagine entering a beautiful building. All right, curious of what's on the inside. It then lured you to it from the outward appearance, right? You like, you see something nice? Ooh, I wonder what's in there. All right? Just to find out, you walk into the territory of decaying bodies. All right? Rotting flesh with an indescribable smell. All right? And oftentimes, I looked this up, they often did have smells when they would open up those tombs if they didn't use certain types of oils like frankincense and myrrh that were used for the preservation. All right? So think about this. This is a thinker for you. All right? I wonder what type of odor do we give off from the things that are dwelling deep within us. All right? Those things that have become sediment. I gave you that definition. Those things that are lying at the bottom of our hearts. All right? Do we have a stench that has come up to the nostrils of God that he is displeased with? Could this be the reason for some of the heat that is needed or necessary to purify us from the impurities that are causing these unwanted smells? One scripture said that what they were doing, those sinful ways, it had came up to the Lord, all right? And it was stinking in his nostrils, all right? And then let's go to, that's a thinking for you though, all right? Ask your neighbor what you smell like. What you smell like, all right? We was examine you, what we find inside of you. All right, what we find inside of you. And then let's do Proverbs chapter 25. All right, another reason for refining, all right, is to simply reveal the impurities. All right, so we said to prove the quality of, all right, to see if it's real or not. All right, and then after a while, when it's going through that refining process, what will happen is when it gets melted down real good, what you call the dross will start surfacing. Instead of to the bottom, it's going to surface to the top. All right? It's going to surface to the top. All right, I'm going to give y'all the definition of dross. All right? So the definition of dross is the scum or impurities rising to the top of melted silver or gold. The scum or impurities rising to the top of melted silver and gold. All right, that is dross. That is the dross. All right, and as I said, that's what the Lord allow us. We start getting under pressure. All right, getting under heat. Some things start surfacing to the top. All right, you ever notice sometimes you get under pressure, it look like a whole bunch of stuff going on at one time, and we say, well, I'm in the fire. You start noticing, if you ever catch yourself, you say, oh, I got a bad attitude. All right, that may be why the Lord allowed that fire to reveal that to you. Ain't under subjection, or something that you've been dealing with, I've been doing real good. And then all of a sudden something trigger you. All right, the heat get turned up and it triggers you, that lets you know it's still there. Time to uproot it. All right, time to uproot that thing. That heat gonna allow it to come to the surface. It was at the bottom, all right, but now it's surfacing up to the top. Proverbs chapter 25 and just verse 4 here. 25 and verse 4. All right, everyone there? All right, he said, take away the what?
Draws.
Take away the dross from the silver. Take away those impurities from the silver. And there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. All right, the dross is taken away so that when the refiner wants to make something new, all right, it's pure. That's why that dross is taken away. It's free of those impurities. All right, let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 2. 2 Timothy chapter 2. All right, while you're flipping there, the impurities must be gotten rid of in order for that melted gold or silver to be usable. All right? The impurities must be gotten rid of, and this has to be gotten rid of completely. All right, so when they're in there doing that refining process, they can't leave just a little bit of that dross in it. Just a little bit to still qualify whatever they done melted down as impure, no matter how small it may be. All right, and that's how the Lord is. He don't want just an ounce or a speck, all right, of unrighteousness or ungodliness to be in us. He uproots it completely. All right, not a speck of it left. 2 Timothy chapter 2, and we're going to begin at let's do verse 19. Everyone there? All right, 2 Timothy chapter 2, beginning at verse 19. Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal, the Lord knoweth them that are his. And let everyone that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity. Verse 20, but in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver. All right, those gold and silver vessels, they would use those for special occasions and special purposes. They were their fine vessels. But also of wood and of earth. All right, it says that wood, I was looking this up, the wood and earth vessels, they were often used as just everyday, ordinary things. And sometimes they would actually just throw them out once they got tired of using them. But the gold and the silver, all right, they put them in a special place. It says, and some to honor and some to dishonor. Verse 21, if a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and what? And meet for the master's use. Remember I told you you have to get rid of that dross in order to be usable. It says, and prepared unto every good work. Flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. All right? Out of a pure heart. All right, and then let's go to, I want to read this to you. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1. All right, Isaiah chapter 1. And we're going to begin at let's do verse 20. We'll start at verse 21. Verse 21. All right, Isaiah chapter 1. And we're going to start at verse 21. All right, and by then I'm going to read this off what I wrote. All right, it says, notice that time and chance is given, all right, what we just read, to rid ourselves of the unfit vessels. All right, thinker. Perhaps time has been taken advantage of. All right, the Lord giving us opportunity. Notice he said, you rid yourself. If a man rid himself, all right, to cleanse himself, purge himself of these. Time has been taken advantage of, and some have failed to purify themselves. All right, you failed to deal with these impurities yourself. All right, so maybe now God has begun his own purifying process. All right, maybe that's the heat that you're now feeling. All right, maybe that's the heat that you're now feeling. But Isaiah chapter 1, beginning at verse 21, everyone there? All right, it says, how is the faithful city become an harlot? It says, it was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. Notice this, thy silver is become what? It's become dross. It's become filled with impurities. Thy wine mixed with water, watered down, losing its strength, basically. Verse 23, thy princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doeth the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore saith the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries, and avenge me of mine enemies. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and do what?
Purely purge.
Purely purge. All right, notice this is the Lord said. Now he said, I will turn my hand upon thee. Talking to them, remember he said you become a hardened, you were a faithful city. He was dealing with them in these days. It says, and purely purge away thy dross, and take away all thy tin. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, all right, after he's saying, after I done purely purged you and took away this dross, then thou shalt be called the what? The city of righteousness, and you become the what?
Faithful city.
The faithful city. All right, again, the Lord got to clean us up.
Yes.
All right, he cleaning us on up from these impurities. All right, and then let's end in Ezekiel chapter 22. I want to read this to y'all. All right, where he had to deal with some cleaning, right, some refining. Ezekiel chapter 22. And we're going to start at verse 17. Ezekiel chapter 22, starting at verse 17. All right? Read this. After the refining process, the refiner has a pure and stronger substance before to create whatever he desires. All right? So the refiner melts down those metals, rids it of the impurities of the dross, and now he can create whatever it is that he want to create with it. All right? Similar to being on the potter's wheel with the clay. All right? But the fire process, the refining process, is a little bit more intense. All right? A little bit more intense. All right? But it leaves that refiner. Now he can shape and mold, all right, what he wants it to be. All right? But Ezekiel chapter 22, starting at verse 17. Everyone there? All right? It says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, notice this, the house of Israel, all right, his people, is to me become what? They become dross instead of pure. All right? I see a lot of impurities there. All right? See a lot of bitterness, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, unforgiveness. He says, all they are brass and tin. All right? That brass, that tin. And then it says, and iron and lead. All right? These weren't fine metals. He says, in the midst of the furnace, they are even the dross of silver. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because ye are all become dross, behold, therefore I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem, As they gathered silver and brass and iron and lead and tin into the midst of the furnace, all right? And remember, keep in mind, these furnaces, I told you, they're over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It says to blow the fire upon it. And that's what usually the refiners did. I seen a picture. They had what kind of looked like a blowtorch, and they were blowing that metal with that fire, all right? It says to melt it. So will I gather you in mine anger and in my fury. All right, this is the result of refusing to turn from evil ways, being rebellious. He said, and I will leave you there. Now think about this. I'll put you in the furnace, and then I'm going to leave you there. All right? And melt you. All right, thank God he'll send us through the fire and bring us out, won't he?
Amen.
All right? Thank God for his mercy. It says, yea, I will gather you and blow upon you in the fire of my wrath, and ye shall be melted in the midst thereof. Again, the result of disobedience and rebellion. As silver is melted in the midst of the furnace, so shall ye be melted in the midst thereof. And ye shall know that what? I, the Lord, have poured out my fury upon you. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto her, Thou art the land that is not cleansed, nor rained upon in the day of indignation. All right? In the day of indignation. All right? And we're going to stop it right there. Won't hold y'all too much longer. All right? But tell your neighbor, the refiner's fire. All right? We don't want to be like that where he just leave you in that furnace to melt. All right? So whatever the Lord, when you get under heat, under pressure, and he allow these different things to come to your eye view, all right, to surface, all right, deal with it. Don't try to cover it up, because what you're going to do is keep going through that fire for him to rid it out of you, get it out of you. Because when he come back to it, all right, he going to be looking to see his own reflection in it, to see himself. All right? We're going to stop right there. We have any questions or comments on tonight?